Jinger Vu was sitting on the couch when she put her hands on her stomach and felt a searing pain. Initially, she believed it to be simply another pregnancy discomfort, but this one persisted, was more severe, and would not go away despite her best efforts. Nervously, she moved positions, but the ache just became worse. A gasp twisted her lips. Jeremy Vu, who had been in the kitchen, hurried up to Neil, who was seated next to his wife's Jinga, upon seeing the anxious expression on her face. She shuddered from another wave of pain, and she drew a deep breath, but I'm not sure how much it hurts. What's the matter? His tone was calm yet concerned, and his countenance showed it. Jeremy thought, we're heading to the hospital. He had never seen Jinger so upset. Her face was white, and her hands trembled a little as she gripped the couch cushion. Jinger got up with Jeremy's assistance and walked slowly toward the door, her discomfort increasing as she went. Jeremy didn't wait for her to disagree before speaking. With a feeble nod, Jinger hurriedly added, "Okay, but hurry." Jeremy saw a trace of worry on her face and gave her a comforting handshake. "Hi everyone. To demonstrate your support for Vivi, please click the like button on this video." He told them that everything would be okay when they arrived at the vehicle, even though his own heart was pounding with fear. Let's move on to the news of the day. As Jeremy hurriedly climbed into the driver's seat, buckled up her seatbelt, and drove off, Jinger gripped her stomach, her fingernails biting into the fabric of her dress, and her breathing became more hard between turns. For their sake, Jeremy maintained his composure throughout the seemingly endless hospital journey. "Jeremy is my name." He tightened his hold on the wheel as she muttered something under her breath and her eyes filled with tears. "Please, darling. Wait, we're almost there." When we arrived to the emergency room, the darkness of the night was broken by the lights of the hospital. Leaping from his bed, Jeremy hurried to join Jinger. He assisted her in entering by opening the door. A nurse in a wheelchair suddenly showed there and inquired as to what was happening. Jinger was in terrible agony, Jeremy added, his voice shaking with intensity. She got pregnant while helping Jinger get into the wheelchair with another staff member. With a nod and a gesture for him to move aside, the nurse led Jinger inside, with Jeremy following closely after. Everything seemed more sincere now due to, with its antiseptic air and flashing lights as Jinger lay on a hospital bed with monitors attached. A doctor came into the examination room and went over her medical history. He smiled and added, "Jinger, we're going to do some tests to find out what's hurting." She returned the grin and said, "Hello. My name is Jeremy." He spoke the words, "Jinger, my love, you've always been resilient. Our thoughts and prayers are with her and the baby." Michelle tried to smile, but Jinger drew back in pain as another pang hit, and tears welled up in her eyes. "Thank you so much, Mom. I really want to make sure that everything is in order." Looking for any indications of positive news from the physicians and nurses, Jeremy walked the hospital corridor, checking the clock every few minutes. When the doctor finally came back, Jeremy stood up eagerly. With a reassuring grin, the doctor added, "Jinger, we have good news. Jinger seems to have suffered from a very serious disease of Braxton Hicks-induced labor pains. There shouldn't be any more issues since the baby is stable and you are not in early labor. Be cautious to remain hydrated and get enough sleep." When Jinger exhaled for the first time in hours, her face took on a look of relief. With a sigh and a prayer, Jeremy felt his shoulders loosen. He bent down and gave Jinger a soft forehead kiss. With a strong grasp on his palm, she said, "You scared me there for a second, me too." Jinger laid peacefully in bed when they arrived home. She sat next to Jeremy, who was obviously tired, and said in a whisper, "This has been the most terrifying experience of my life." After brushing a strand of hair away from her face, Jeremy said, "You and our child are resilient, and we will triumph over this." The night was quiet outside once again, a far cry from the chaos that had occurred before, and there was a sense of relaxation, love, and thankfulness in the Vu home, and more. Almost all of the adult siblings' lives have been made public to Duggar News viewers throughout the years, and Jessa is no exception. After seeing their carefree times together, fans were led to assume that she and her husband Ben Seewald were a nice, cheerful family. The number of Jessa's relatives kept increasing over time. By the end of the evening, JINGER VUOLO was being taken to the hospital while clutching her husband's hand in agony. It had begun as a typical day in the Vuolo family. This was distinct from the 2 pregnancies, the long-distance travel fatigue, and even the mental suffering that Jeremy Vuolo had seen in the past. He was terrified by the piercing screams that came out of her mouth and the shaking fingers she used to grip her side. As he drove the automobile through gridlock in Los Angeles, his knuckles white on the steering wheel, he begged, "Jinger, stay with me." The once relaxed soccer player was suddenly overcome with a sense of urgency, his pulse pounding. Jinger's breath came in quick spurts as she attempted to speak. Her dark eyes filled with tears as she gripped her stomach. It hurt so much. Never in his life has Jeremy driven so quickly. Earlier that day, it had begun. Jinger had been feeling strange, not quite ill, but not feeling well. She had dismissed it, thinking it was a little matter. She may not have eaten enough, or she could have been too tired to keep up with their 2 small kids, Evangeline and Felicity. However, by the end of the day, the pain had progressed from a little discomfort to an intolerable level. Her lower abdomen began to burn and stab, and no matter what she tried, the pain would not go away. She was curled up on their bed, gripping her tummy when Jeremy discovered her. "Are you all right, baby?" He knelt next to her and spoke in a worried tone. Jinger had just managed to give a head shake. "I'm not sure. It is becoming worse." Jeremy just needed to hear that before reaching for his keys. Jeremy leaned over to grasp her hand as they hurried to the hospital. "Jinger, you're almost there. Hold on, please." A haze of activity filled the hospital. As soon as Jeremy brought Jinger in the door, nurses and physicians took charge. He wanted to be with her, but she was being carried away in a matter of seconds, and a nurse told him to wait outside in a forceful yet kind manner. "First, sir, we must assess her condition." As he walked the waiting area, Jeremy swept a hand through his hair and let out a harsh exhale. What had become of his wife? Jinger's name quickly became popular on the internet. A flurry of rumors was sparked by a straightforward social media post from a perceptive fan who claimed to have seen Jeremy in the hospital. Within minutes, gossip sites, reviewers, and Duggar fans were frantically gathering information. The Duggar family group chat blew out back in Arkansas. The first person to message was Jessa. "Jessa, what have you heard, Mom?" "Jinger is hospitalized." "Michelle, what? Oh no. I'll give Jeremy a call." "Anna Joy, I'm praying fervently for her at the moment. This is frightening." "Johannah, I tried phoning, but nobody picked up. Perhaps he is overburdened." There was an increasing feeling of dread among the sisters. Jinger was renowned for his strength and ability to endure hardships without complaining. It had to be severe if she needed to be admitted to the hospital. Jinger was being tested inside the hospital. She could hardly talk because the agony had become so bad. Appendicitis was ruled out by the doctors, but there were still other options. As he checked Jinger's vitals, one doctor said, "It might be a ruptured ovarian cyst," or complications from endometriosis. Jinger could hear them conversing, but he was dazed from the painkillers. She felt a knot in her gut at the words. Just as the doctor arrived with initial findings, Jeremy was finally permitted to return to the room. The doctor looked at Jinger with kind but serious eyes and said, "We have some concerns. There are indications of an infection in your blood tests. We must do further testing." Jeremy gripped Jinger's hand more tightly. "What sort of infection is it?" The doctor said, "We think it might have something to do with her reproductive system. It might be a minor issue or it might need to be addressed right away." Jeremy's heart pounded in his ears as he swallowed forcefully. "Will she be all right?" "We're making every effort," the physician promised. However, that was insufficient. Arkansas was hit hard by the news. Jinger's sisters had already begun researching airfares. While Johannah, ever the caregiver, began making arrangements to assist with Jinger's children, Jessa and Ben boarded a red-eye to Los Angeles. By dawn, Jim, Bob, and Michelle had publicly called for prayers. "We ask for prayers while the doctors try to figure out what's causing our darling Jinger's discomfort while she's in the hospital. We appreciate all the love and support and have faith in God's plan." Naturally, The comments simply served to increase conjecture. While some opponents truly frightened for Jinger's health, others were quick to accuse the family of exaggerating the problem.